Hey everybody, it's Wendy. Welcome. Thanks so much for joining me today. I have an awesome card for you. One of my favorites that I've created in quite a while, actually. It rivals right there up with the birthday goodness one that I did. Oh, I don't know, it was a few weeks back with the donuts and the macarons. Anyway, we've got the Band Together stamp set, and I'm using the Stamparatus and inking it up with Memento Tuxedo Black ink. And I'm going to just ink this down a couple of times to make sure I have a really nice solid line. I really don't want to have, like, I don't know how to say it, like uneven lines, because I'm going to be doing some coloring and fussy cutting. So I wanted to make sure everything was stamped really, really well. And as you can see, this worked perfectly. So you just need a scratch piece of Whisper White cardstock. I think mine is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And it doesn't really matter what size it is as long as it will fit those flowers. Now, I started out to use soft seafoam and then I changed my mind and I'm using the Granny Apple Green. I try really hard to change it up every once in a while and use different greens, but I gotta tell you, Granny Apple Green is my favorite. So I'm going in with my darkest marker and I am coloring the stems and the leaves of this flower. And then I'm going to go in with my light marker and go over the areas that are still not colored. And then we're left with a little bit of a shadow. And I just really love this color. I love how it turns out every single time. So, you know, when something works well, just stick with it. One of the things I could have done here is maybe used a little bit of yellow underneath. It would have even lightened the tones a little more, but I just opted for going ahead and coloring with simple, dark, and light. Now our coloring will get a little bit more complicated with the flowers. So I'm going to start with my darkest color. This is my Poppy Parade dark marker. You notice that I use Poppy Parade a lot because it blends really well with oranges and yellows. So I love it. It's what I would consider, let's see, it would be like a warm red, not a cool red. Cool reds have blue in them. So I really love this one because it lends to those oranges and those yellows. So I'm using the dark first and I'm putting my dark everywhere that there is another petal laying over the top, basically. So it's at the base of the petal, and then anywhere that there is another petal laying over the top of it, I want to go in with the darker color. Then I'm going in with my light Poppy Parade and blending out that dark just a little bit. But you can see that it stays darker right there at the base of the petal. And then we move to a little bit lighter Poppy Parade. And then we're going to use light Pumpkin Pie next. So while I'm coloring, I just wanted to share a few things with you. First of all, I'm recording this video. I've been saying this for what I feel like is every single video for the last few weeks. Recording this video way in advance because I'm traveling, and so I definitely needed to record a bunch of videos in advance. I'm hoping next week's videos will be current so I can start telling you some stories about my trip and other things that are going on. If you want to purchase any of the products you see me using here today, you can click in the description of this video and there are links for everything that I'm using. As a reminder, I give a free tutorial bundle every time somebody orders from me. It doesn't matter what the order amount is. It's the Stampin' Anonymous tutorial bundle, and that is totally free to you. While I've been gone, I have not been sending out emails, so you will receive it. Actually, I'll be back when you watch this video, so you hopefully will receive it in email not too soon, pretty soon after you place your order. I'm trying to think if there's anything else going on. You know, it's so weird recording videos so far in advance because I'm sure that there's going to be things that Stampin' Up! Announces or releases or does that then I have not shared in a video. So the best way to stay up to date with me is always to be a subscriber on my email list. While we're talking about that, if you subscribe to my email, please know I send out emails asking you to buy things. Not all the time, and I'm not hounding you by any means, but if I have classes or paper shares or promotions that Stampin' Up! Is offering, that is what I use my email for, is to tell you about those. It's interesting, I have had people comment to me and say, you never provide free content. And I always have to get a little chuckle about that, because I'm like, obviously you don't pay attention to my YouTube channel, because there's loads and loads of free videos there. So just know that my email is not like you're going to get all this crazy amounts of free stuff all the time, but occasionally I do provide little freebies in there, or giveaways, or special offers just to my email subscribers that I don't offer anywhere else. So we're almost done with this coloring, and you can see that I've used the light Daffodil Delight marker on the tips of this, and I absolutely love how these flowers came together. This color combination with the Stampin' blends has got to be my absolute favorite. I just love it. So now we're going to cut this down. So I'm cutting it down to 3 3/4, and then I'm going to cut a little off the bottom, a little off the top, and then I have to do more cutting when I'm done, because it just, you'll see as we go. This is the part of the card that gets a little bit tricky. So I definitely wanted to slow this down and make sure that you saw how I did it. So I have this little ruler. This is my favorite ruler ever. I hope I never lose it, because it's little and it's perfect because it has all the grid lines. So it's really easy to make sure you get nice straight lines. I'm using a pigment pen from Staedtler. Doesn't really matter, honestly. You could use a Sharpie, you could use anything you wanted to here. But I'm just drawing in some lines around this to kind of frame it and give it... I basically needed some lines to know where I wanted to cut the flowers. So instead of drawing through the flowers, I'm drawing lines that will go like, well, you'll see here what I'm about to do. So it's kind of like I'm drawing little lines, in between the flowers. And then the part where the line is going is, let's see, the part that's to the right of the line is the part that's going to get cut off. So here I'm decided I wanted the top of that flower to be peeking out as well. Now, in actuality, this is even kind of a cool design to just leave it like that if you wanted to. But I definitely wanted to try and do some really cool fussy cutting here. And I realized fairly quickly that this wasn't really going to work. Using my trimmer for this wasn't really going to work. So I just abandoned it and decided, you know what, we're just going to go for it and fussy cut. So this is time consuming. There's no way around that. But it is so fantastic. If you had a die, you could do some partial die cutting here, but this flower does not have a die cut. So I decided to trim it with a little bit of an edge, kind of the way a die cut would cut it out. That, I gotta tell you, I've had people ask me, like, how do you keep the edge the same width all the way around the flower? Well, I'm sure if you measured it, it would not be perfectly the same, but it's pretty darn close to the naked eye. You can't really tell, basically, that it is a little bit wider in certain areas and not in others. So the best advice I can give you for fussy cutting is to hold your scissors still and move the paper. And then also, it just takes practice. Like if you want to learn how to cut with a little border, it simply takes practice. You're going to mess it up. I know I have. And even now, I still will mess stuff up sometimes. It just is what it is. It's not a big deal. I always say, Jennifer McGuire is the first person I ever heard say this. It's handmade, not Hallmark. So there's not going to be anybody that's going to be going in and looking at your card and using a ruler to make sure everything is perfect. I am not the perfect stamper. I am not the perfect, like, measurer. Like, you know, if something doesn't work, I try to fix it and move on. I honestly rarely will redo a card or do anything. Like, most of the time I'm just going to try to make it work. So don't worry about it. If you flub up and you mess up, then just cut it right on the line and use a black marker around the edges, and then people will think you did it that way on purpose. So this is the card base is cut at 4 1/4 by 11, and then I put a piece of basic black cardstock, which is cut at 4 by 5 1/4. And then I'm using a ton of dimensionals, as you can see here, to pop up this beautiful piece that will go on the front of the card. This panel, if you will, is, I mean, honestly, I could just make a bazillion of these cards using different blends colors to make those flowers different colors. Absolutely love how this card turned out. I am a big fan of black and white with pops of color. It's my very, very favorite. I just love it. And then, of course, you have to make your flower shimmery using Wink of Stella. Just go over the top of it with a clear Wink of Stella pen, and you're going to have all that shimmer and shine on those flowers when it hits the sun. Unfortunately, video doesn't do a very good job of showing off that shimmer, but trust me, it is nice and shimmery. So now I needed to add a sentiment, and I just had a piece of scrap basic black cardstock here, and I wanted to make this a birthday card. So I think I'm going to give this card to my mom for her birthday. My mom, does she turn 70 this year? She might. I don't know. I'll have to do the math. But anyway, she loves flowers, and her birthday is the very last day of July. So every year I try to make her a card, and I don't even know what I'm going to get her for a gift this year. I really struggle with that. She lives with my grandpa because my grandpa is ailing and he's 95, and so, you know, he needs a lot of help. So she lives with him to take care of him, and she does a lot that is strenuous as far as just dealing with stuff like that. And then so I want to get her something nice for her birthday this year is what I'm getting at. I mean, I always want to get her something nice, but I kind of want to get her something special. So I know I'm recording this video prior to going on my trip, but I'm hoping to find her something nice on my trip to give her for her birthday. Don't know if that'll happen or not, but that's my goal. I would like to be able to bring home something really unique and cool, maybe a cool piece of jewelry or something like that. So right now I am heat embossing that sentiment. I use my embossing buddy, which, by the way, you have to have one of those if you're going to do heat embossing. You put that little powder down first on your cardstock, and then you stamp with Versamark ink, which is a sticky ink, and then you add your embossing powder and heat set it with a heat tool. If you don't use that embossing buddy, you will end up with embossing powder sticking all over different areas of your card. So you definitely want to make sure that you use that embossing buddy. Okay, so I'm going to then use my dimensionals to pop this sentiment up and put it on the card. Again, I even just love the way the sentiment turned out. The font is perfect for this. I used that sentiment from the Band Together stamp set. And it just says, wishing you a happy birthday, which is just so simple and sweet, right? And then it's got the white embossing, which pops against the black background. And then we're going to add sequins as the very last kind of step to this card. So the sequins are awesome because they already have adhesive on the back of them. And these are the basics, let's see, what do they call them? Basic adhesive backed sequins, I think is what they're called. They are linked on my blog and in the description of the video. So if you want them, you can pick them up in my store. And then I'm just going to kind of randomly put them about so that there's a little bit more glitz and glam to them. So anyway, yeah, this is pretty much the card. We're almost done. I absolutely love how it came together. Love the coloring, the color combination. There's just something about those bright colors that just make me happy, really, really happy. So I chose that color combo, and I think I might try to make this card again using a different color combo with same card design, same concept, but just different color combination. Leave me a comment below. Let me know what you thought of this card. Let me know what you'd like to see in a future video. I'd love to hear from you. You can click on either video you see here to watch those. Click on the circle with my face in it to subscribe to my channel. And again, you can shop with me at shoploveandstampin.com. All the items are in the description below the video, so you can pick them up there. And I hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks so much for tuning in. Bye.